Hey everyone! Super excited about the newest mystery box from Cricut, and I'm really excited about the watercolor cards and the watercolor markers that are in this set. Now, these watercolor markers are for the Explore and the Maker machines, so please keep that in mind. I'm actually going to switch my machine family right now because I see it's on my Joy Extra, and I'm going to switch that over to my Maker 3 because that's what I'll be using. Because that's what the markers fit in. So I'm going to switch that over quickly. And then I want to show you guys how easy it is to just find designs for them. So these are the S40 cards. They will work in all of the machines except for the Joy. The Joy card mat does not do the S40. So the Maker 3, Explore machines, and Joy Extra all can do that with the card mats that they have. Okay, so what we'll do first is we can go over to projects, and then we can narrow projects down here. And I'm not sure if they have a watercolor cards category. They used to. Let's see. So we're just going to type in watercolor. And it is one word, so remember that. And then I'm going to filter to Cricut only. And it's going to bring up all the Cricut watercolor options. And I'm going to see, now keep in mind, not all of them are designed to work with all of the size cards. So this one right here says 2 sizes, the succulent one. So I'm going to click that and see what my options are. And right here under finish size, you can select what you want. So it's only R20 and R40. So this won't work for our card. So the Tulips watercolor card is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, which is an S40 card. So we can click customize, or we can click make it. I usually click customize, and I do that just to make sure everything is set up the way I want it to be. Alrighty, so that's good to go. We have 2 different colors, so it will prompt us when we need to turn it out. It's already attached for us. Okay, so we're going to click make it. I'm not going to save this right now, but I can come back and save it. It's a Cricut project, so you would save as. So we're going to do it on a card mat and click confirm. I'm only doing 1, so you could go up here and change project copies to 4 and then click apply, and it will put 4 on there for you, but I'm only doing 1 today, so we'll change that back. And then one thing I always double check right here, that it is set to the S40 size. Now, sometimes it changes, I'm not sure why, but that can happen, so I always double check it's set to S40. I'm going to click continue, and my Maker 3 is on and connected via Bluetooth, so it's going to go ahead and search for that, and then it's going to ask me what material. And you can see over here the only operation we have is pen. We are not doing any cutting today. It's just going to be the drawing. So we still need to set a base material so it knows, how hard to press down and all of that stuff. So we're going to browse on materials. I'm just going to type in water, and we're going to do watercolor cards. We're going to click done, and then we're ready to go. So right here it's telling you to move the star wheels to the center of the rail, making sure all align with middle column of card mat. For tips on using the freehand water brush, see the help article here. So we can click that to learn more, which is great. And then we're going to load the red watercolor marker first, and then we'll switch it to the green when it prompts us. So I'll go over to my machine and we'll load the red. I'll show you how to move the star wheels, and then we'll put our card on and load it. Okay, so I have my 2x2 card mat. If you don't have one of these yet, you can buy them in a single pack and a 5-pack. These are fantastic for doing insert cards, cutaway cards, the watercolor cards, and you can do 4 at a time, which is even better. Okay, so I'm going to remove the plastic sheets, and yes, you're going to remove it from both sides because there is a risk that this could come off while you're doing it in your machine, and it could get all rolled up in your rollers, and you don't want that. So I'm going to remove these both and set aside. Okay, and these are an ivory color card. They're not white, like a pure white. They are an ivory color. And there is some tape at the top here and here. So I usually just take my True Control knife and just carefully slide that in there. And remember, you're getting envelopes in here too. So what I always do is I take a card and an envelope out at the same time. That way when I'm done with the card, and in this case when it's dry, I will just put it with the envelope, and when I need a quick card, it's ready to go, envelope and all. So I'll take those out, and I'm going to put that on my mat first. Looks like I have a cat hair on here, so I'm just going to use my fingernail quick and get that off. Okay, so if you've never used any of the card mats, it opens up kind of like this, and the top here is adhesive. That's why it had that plastic covering on it. So I'm going to slide this right in here. I'm going to push it all the way through. Make sure it's up at the top and pushed in. Okay. And we're just going to make sure it's down. I'm not going to use my brayer just because we're not doing any cutting, so I don't feel it's as necessary. And then I'm going to open up my Maker 3. I'm actually going to push it back just a little bit so that I can load this, and then I'll move it back towards me so the mat doesn't hit the wall. There's tape on this too. Usually I'm more prepared than this, guys. So we'll just slice that open real quick, and we're going to need the red and the green. So what I'm going to do is, there's this on top. These you do want to store tip down, just like the other pens and markers. And as I always do, let me find a scrap real quick. I scribble a little on a scrap piece so I can make sure the pen is flowing well. I'm going to take the green one out just so I have it ready to go. Do the same. And then you have your water brush here, and I'm going to take that out as well. There is another piece over this. Okay. Holding it all in place. So you can save these pieces if you want. I have a pen storage that I use, so I don't save those because I don't put them back in here. Alright, so my pens are flowing good. We have our water pen here. Sorry, our water brush, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to put this in here, and I always put the caps on top so I don't lose them, especially because my cats will sneak in here sometimes if they're lucky, and they'll swat them all over and I lose them. So I put it right on the top so I don't. Now we got to remember to move our star wheels. Typically I will put the mat up like this before I move them, because I like to line it up. We're going to line it up with this middle piece right here. So I like to put the mat up first and then move them, so I know that they're exact and I don't have to keep like fussing with them. Okay, now we're going to load. I'm going to pull my machine up. So I'm going to let this draw off camera, and then if you've never done more than one color on your drawing, there will be a pop-up in Design Space that comes up, and it will tell you, it will pause your machine. Nothing over here will really indicate that something's wrong, so look on your Design Space, which this should only take a second. So I'll just come back when that pop-up comes up and show you guys. Okay, so this is what will come up. So I'm just going to take my red one out. I'll do the same with my green. And your play button is blinking, so that will tell you that you need to do something next. So you'll press the go button to resume. Okay, so I swapped out to my green. I'm pressing the play button, and it's going to finish doing this. And then I will go get a little dish of water and some paper towels to be safe, because I'm in my craft room and I don't usually bring water in here. And I'll show you guys kind of just how carefully to do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is flip my mat over and remove my card from the mat. This is how I remove all materials from the mat from the material. This is going to prevent any curling or anything like that. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to replace the plastic sheets over the adhesive I have 4 cats, so I am always careful with replacing everything right away to make sure nothing gets on it, especially cat hair. I do not allow them in my craft room, but sometimes they get in, so just to make sure. And something really quickly that I forgot to do, I try to do this right away so I don't forget, is to move those star wheels back into place. And that is very important, especially if you're using smart materials, because it really holds those materials in place. I forgot to move them one time, and I was having a lot of issues with smart materials, and I was talking to a friend, and she pointed out that my star wheels weren't in place, and I was like, oh, good catch. So I moved those back right away. Okay, so now we have our card. I have just a tiny bit of water. There's not a ton in there. And we have our watercolor brush. Now, you're just going to dip it in. It is like a little stiff at first, so I'm just kind of gently pressing it around to break up the bristles so that they're a little easier to work with. And you can see I wiped some of the water off, so then we're just going to start at the edges here and kind of blend in. And it's kind of as much or as little as you want. Kind of play around with it and see what you think. You can go for more of like a faded ombre look or whatever you want. Now we are using 2 colors, so I will just dip this in the water when I'm done and kind of wring it out a little on my paper towel. You don't need to do anything crazy. It's watercolor ink, so it's just going to wash right out. So again, I'm pulling from the sides here because you can see that's where my, that's where it's thick. So I'm just going to a little bit more water, and you can, once you get used to it, you'll figure out a little bit more control over how much to pull in, how much, just kind of depends on what effect you're going for. I see on this one, I took a little bit too much color from right here, so you can see that kind of blurred the edge. I'm not a blurred edges kind of person, so I do struggle with that because then I feel like it looks funny. But that's just me because I'm a little neurotic. So we're just going to kind of blend it in. Alright, so now we're just going to take the tip, and you could see a little bit of green, now you don't. So I'm just going to kind of do that on the paper towel, make sure I don't have any green in there, and then we'll go to the red. Now, because it's not like really wet, but it's a little wet, so I'm going to just leave it on the side here, and I don't really know what effect I'm going for. So we're just going to kind of play around with it. I'm trying to avoid this very crisp line right here. That one. I don't want to get the water on that. I want to be able to leave that nice and, see, there's the neurotic in me. So I'm trying to be careful, but it's hard to work around it. So just, carefully go. Again, pull from those edges. And I mean, I kind of got the water a little close to that edge, but honestly, I kind of like how that looks. So I don't mind too much. So you can see as I'm going, it's getting a little bit lighter. So I've got to just pull from these edges a little bit more and then push it into down here. Alright, I'm going to do the rest of this off camera and then we'll come back, but I do think you get the gist of how to do these. Okay, so I did the whole card. When you're done, dip your brush in the water, rinse it out, make sure you get all the color off so the next time it's fresh, and just put the cover back on. I'll probably let it dry before I put the cover back on and put it away. But I'm going to show you guys up close. Now, you really have control over how this looks. I put a little bit too much water in some areas for my liking, but a lot of people might look at this and be like, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. And to me, you know, it is really pretty, but I'm just particular about how I like things. So I did a little too much water there. I did actually, though, not mind these lines inside being a little bit blurred. I actually think that looked kind of nice when I looked at it at the end. So it's really just how you like it. But I do recommend starting out with just a little bit of water. Don't do too much. And then you can always add more, but once it's on there, it's hard to take up. A tip that someone had shared from the Cricut official group was to have like Q-tips on hand. So if you put too much water down, it's easier to kind of soak that up without a paper towel and blotting everything and all of that. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I will just put it on my envelope like this and put it in my stash. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know.